really wanted to buy, but I couldn't, obviously, because I'm not capable enough to finance for it or buy it. And I bought a car in February 2023. This is 23. No, I Hello everyone, welcome to Mal's Vlogs. So today I actually am today is a Saturday, and I am at home. Prashant is working, so I had some time with me, and I thought I should do like couple of videos and be more consistent with the videos, right? So today I'm going to plan and shoot maybe 2 or 3 videos. So there'll be just dress changes and the background might change, but it's the same day most probably that I might shoot, depending on how much time it's going to take. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is how I bought a car in Saskatchewan or Canada, Saskatchewan in specific, in the first year that I came here itself. Okay, like I got so many questions from people asking, how do we buy a car, tell us the options, those kind of things. So I thought I'll do that video and then subsequent follow-up videos or any other type of videos. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is how long did it take for me to actually buy a car. So I reached here in August 2022 and I bought a car in February 2023. This is 23. No, I came here in August 2021 and I bought a car in February 2022. Obviously I was a very independent person back home, in the sense, like I was not at all dependent on somebody to drop me, pick me up. I used to drive my own car, or how Bangalore or any other city in India is, you have access to cabs and all those things, right? But one thing I heard even before I came here is that the commute here is going to be a little difficult. Obviously, because cabs are expensive, or you might not find sufficient cabs in a place like Moose Jaw, or else it can also be that the bus frequency is less and things like that. I was okay taking the bus and all, because obviously I've done that in Bangalore, so I was fine with that part. But I was a little concerned about how am I actually going to adjust to that sudden change, because you're so used to, actually we are so pampered and there's so much of luxury back in India. I that was one thing. Like, actually I used to dread about it. Like, I have couple of I think I have actually told Prashant couple of times that like I'm actually concerned about not getting a cab, or like walking miles and miles, because I'm not that healthy type, right? So how am I going to actually adjust to all that? So as soon as I came here, what I did is, in the first month, I came here in August. By September, I took my Canadian license. So that is one thing I always believe in, right? Like, believe in, or something that I always do. Whichever place I'm going to, that is, even when I went to Dubai, one of the first things that I did there was to take a Dubai license. So even when I came here, it was like not even winter, right? It was like almost, I think it was autumn, or what you call fall out here. So I made sure I take the license even before the winter starts, and then take the car slowly. But one thing I found was that, actually to buy a car here is quite difficult for a student, I'm saying. If you're coming in PR and all, it should be fine. But for a student, first of all, in my case, I had actually, all of you might know the story. I've spent so much of money, all of my savings into the course, and I didn't actually carry enough cash to buy a car or something of that sort, right? So once I came here, and by February, Prashant was also planning to come, and I was staying at Mooster at that time, and I knew for a fact that it's going to be difficult for both of us to actually go out, or go for shopping, or even go to places or things like that. So I actually wanted a car even before Prashant got here, and at least get used to it. So I started searching. I think by start of December itself, I started searching for vehicles. So I was looking for any vehicle possible. So my target was only that I need it for 1 year, and then the next year I can buy another one, or like get another second-hand car or something. So any car that has like 4 wheels and a steering would have been okay for me. So that was my criteria, and I approached a lot of what do you say, dealers, or some of the famous ones here are like I'm talking about second hand dealers. I didn't even go for the first hand ones, like O'Brien, or you have like Auto Drive, or some Drive Nation and all those kind of things. I'm not like I can't remember half of it, so I mean, I actually approached all of them. So, but one thing they all, I mean, came back to me was that, my credit score wasn't good, because obviously I was a student here and I was just building my credit score, and it wasn't good enough for them to finance me. So that's one thing which is very, very important here, is that your credit score has to be good to get any kind of financing. That is, if you need to buy a house or a car or even small financing, they will actually check your credit score. I've even come across wherein some of the famous buildings here, like we were looking for an apartment in downtown, and they were actually looking for credit score of the tenants who were planning to stay. So these kind of things, so when you check and then you get blocked everywhere, mainly because, especially the first year, because you're not qualifying for any of the financing option to buy a vehicle. So I was getting so upset at the end of it, right? Because in India, at least you have like a personal loan or things like that, and you can actually, buy a vehicle much faster, I feel. That's what I felt at that point of time. So finally, like I was telling Prashant also, like I'm getting so fed up. Nobody is actually financing us. And we didn't have like cash to actually bring and then, buy a car and all. And then I came to know that, there's also an option where if you are a student and somebody can co-sign your application, whoever is having a regular income here, you can actually get it, okay? So I'm not a person who actually goes and asks for help from any of my friends or relatives. But then I was so desperate at that point that I did approach one of my relative and one of my friend. And then I told them, like I'm planning to buy a car and, can you co-sign? At that time, maybe they were not in a situation, or maybe they didn't want to. I don't know what the reason is. I wouldn't blame them at this point of time, because obviously, even if somebody comes and asks me at this point, can you co-sign? Obviously, I'll think about it, because it is affecting. I can't say affecting. It will be actually my responsibility that this person pays on time or whatever it is. Even though they knew me really well or whatever it is. For whatever reason, they were not able to co-sign the application, or, one of them even told me that they have another loan, or they have another vehicle loan, or a mortgage kind of a thing, due to which they won't be able to co-sign. So there are situations where you realize, right, oh God, there's like nobody to help you out and those kind of things. So I'm like, okay, left it, and I called Prashant and I told, I don't think this vehicle plan is going to work out. I'm just going to chuck it. Let's see what happens. And even though I told him that, in the back of my mind or thing, I was like, okay, let me find some options. Again, I contacted several, like I can't tell you how many agencies or dealerships I have called and asked them, like, can you actually, fund a student for this one? So either you need to have like a heavy bank account balance to show them, or else your income should be some percentage. They told that this much of income should be there, and also you need a down payment. So all these kind of conditions, right? So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But then at that time, I was simultaneously asking Prashant whether he can actually arrange for a loan or some kind of cash from India, so that he can send it here and I can buy a car. I was looking at a car which was around like $4,000 to $5,000, and some people actually told me you should buy a car which is around $10,000, otherwise car will have some issues. And you know how the Indian mentality is, right? We only go for Hyundai or Honda or those kind of vehicles. We won't go for the American vehicles, like any other common ones that you see here is like GMC or Chevrolet or those kind of things. People will never go. Chevrolet, at least it's a little okay back in India, but then people prefer like tried and tested brands like Honda, Hyundai, or even Kia and all those kind of things. But whichever vehicle I was looking at was over budget in those brands, mainly because obviously the resale value is much better and all those kind of things, okay? So finally, I called Prashant and I told, can you arrange for something back in India so that I can use it here? And then he searched out, and at that time he got a pre-approved loan from one of the banks that he had the account, and he told, yeah, I can get the loan for you, and I can send it here. So one thing I would tell you guys is, always have some amount with you. I would say a minimum of $5,000 for a car, in case you are a person who's so used to traveling by car, or who would actually like to come here and also not take the bus or something of that. So then if you're so used to it and you want to buy a car immediately as you come here, you should actually carry some cash, because getting a financing option here, especially for a student, is difficult. I don't know if anybody else have got it. If anyone has got financing option as a student, please comment below and tell us how you got it. I tried my best, but I couldn't get it. So finally, Prashant actually took a loan from there and then sent it to me, and that was around 5,000. I had around $5,000 with me at that point, and then I started searching. Like there was this one night wherein I was so upset, mainly because I asked a couple of people whether they can co-sign or help out with things, but they told of whatever reason they couldn't, and I was so depressed, like in a sense I really wanted to buy, but I couldn't, obviously, because I'm not capable enough to finance for it or buy it. So I was thinking, I was feeling so worthless, and I was thinking, okay, after even slogging for so much, and obviously because I have spent that money for my course and stay and all those things, I couldn't afford a car at that time. And the reality hits that even after working for so long, you come here and you're still struggling and not able to buy a car for yourself, right? So finally that night, what happened is, I was sleepless because of this. I was going on thinking, what is the option? So one problem, I would say, this is one of my negatives, is that if I have something in mind and I need it, I will find one or the other option to actually get it done. There is a plus and minus. Obviously it will get done, but the problem is, I will lose my sleep. I'll work up my mind, or like get too stressed about it and things like that. So that night I haven't slept. I was like sitting and checking Facebook Marketplace, like, can I find some option? I'm scrolling. It's around 3:30 in the night, okay, or in the morning, I would say. And then I'm scrolling, I'm not finding anything. Finally, I see like couple of ads which are kind of reasonable, and I'm like, okay, is it going to be like a scam or something, wherein like it's going to be an issue? But then I thought, okay, let me at least contact the person and see if it works out and things like that. So I sent them a message saying that I'm interested in this vehicle, or like couple of vehicles that they had posted, and I told I would like to come and see and all those things. And the guy responded saying that, yeah, why not, come and see the vehicle. And I really loved one vehicle in that, which was like an SUV, but it was quite cheap. It was only around $4,000, okay? And I was thinking, why is this vehicle so cheap? Like, there should be something wrong with it. But still, I messaged him for that one also. And then finally the next day or the day after that, but still I didn't have the money in hand, right? So within like 1 or 2 days, Prashant told me, okay, I will be able to arrange for the funds. And I'm like, okay, fine, like, let me go and see the vehicle. So I called two of my friends. One of my friend was in Regina, and I was staying in Moose Jaw at that time, so I took help of one of my friend and then came to Regina. See, Moose Jaw, I don't think has much options. It's either Saskatoon or Regina. I feel Regina is more, because I've seen a couple of my friends from Saskatoon also come travel here and buy it. So so this is like you can't call it a dealership. This is like a private owned dealership, wherein they were actually selling second-hand cars. And I called him. We came to Regina. We saw the vehicles. Vehicle looked okay. The interiors were fine. Everything looked okay, So I'm thinking, why is it so less? But then the guy itself told me this actually, it's so the criteria here is that you should look at a vehicle which is below 1 lakh kilometers or miles, and also the year shouldn't exceed, like in the sense, if you are in 2023, like this year, like look at something which is in 2015 or 2016 or not more than that, right? But then this vehicle was around 2010 model, and then it's crossed over 3 lakh kilometers and all those things. So I was just telling my friends who came with me that I'm not looking at a long-term vehicle. I'm looking at a short-term vehicle where I can use it for maybe 1 year or 2 years till the car breaks down. I'm looking at the worst case scenario, right? And then I'm going to sell off this car or whatever it is. So finally, it was like, I don't know what it is. Maybe this was destined for me. I always tell my husband also that I was so upset that night that sometimes I feel there is some kind of power, or there's some kind of thing that helps me through certain situations. Okay, like I always think that it's my dad, because I lost him recently, and I'm sure that if he would have seen me in person, like getting so worried or depressed, or he would have helped me out, or something of that. So whenever even the Canada thing, I like he passed away, and on in December. And then I got the letter for biometrics within a week. So most of the things that happened after he passed away, I feel that he was a guiding factor, or he was the one who was actually paving my way for it. Like just my feeling. So that day, even like when I was in bed, I was telling, like, oh God, if he was here, that I could have at least talked to him, or like taken help from him or something, because there's a separate connection that I have with him, right? So whoever, like most of the girls, I'm sure they're close to their dads, and like I was in like the most devastated situation when I traveled to Canada, so it was very tough for me. And then yeah, whatever. Okay, so that happened, and then when I saw this in Facebook itself, this vehicle, it was like love at first sight, right? Like I saw the vehicle, I'm like, oh, okay, I think this is the one. I don't know, I really don't know how it happened. It was that same night that I'm seeing it in Facebook Marketplace. In 2 days, I'm going and seeing the vehicle. I saw it in person, and I really liked it. And then we went for a drive, and then they told us, like you can just pay cash and take it, or transfer to the account. And that's how I bought my vehicle. So I have a 2010 Chevrolet Traverse. It's a SUV 7-seater, which I don't need, but for the price, it was a steal. And I seriously thought within 6 months it's going to have like a breakdown or something. Obviously, I've done minor repairs here and there, but nothing major. Touch wood. And went to get my plate, like the registration plate and registration and all those things done, and got the vehicle. So that's how I bought my vehicle. So what I would suggest you guys is, like bring sufficient cash if you are a person who wants to buy a car immediately as you come, or even after some time, bring cash. Because as a student, maybe PR you'll get because you are bringing like a fund with you, right? You have a fund in the account, or you're bringing some cash along with you. So the funding part is much easier there. But as a student, it's going to get a little difficult for you guys. So if you are wanting to buy a car, there are, bring cash. Or if you're living with a couple of people, like I know one of my friend who were staying with 6 to 7 other guys, right? So they all pooled in and bought a 7-seater vehicle, and they used to travel in that to Moose Jaw, things like that. So there are several options like that. Either you buy a car for yourself, you can share and buy a car. There are people like 1 or 2 friends who are sharing it and buying, because car is important, especially why I would say is, especially since a student, if you're coming as a student and you're working part-time and you need to work like night shifts, especially in a place like Moose Jaw, it's difficult to actually get a bus home or a cab home and all those kind of things. So, and then you can also do things like skip the dish, or you can do those kind of part-time jobs if you have a car. So I seriously feel it's very important to actually buy a car, like maybe in 6 to 7 months. I bought it after 6 months. So if you guys think you need to buy it before that, this is one option that I did. Obviously with cash financing I wasn't getting, but if you know anyone who have got it and how, comment below and let me know. So my next video, or the video before this, will be about how to take a driving license in Saskatchewan, which I would highly recommend. But there are people and options that you can do without taking the license also. So that's it, guys. That's how I bought my car. Get money, buy it as a student. If you have any specific questions of anything specific to this topic, comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer. This was like a very casual session I did, especially my story of buying a car. But anything that you would like to know about, which is the best dealership or things like that, comment below. I can let you know. So that's all for now, guys. I don't know, these days, right, my throat, it's so strained. Like I'm not able to talk much. I feel it's not that I talk too much also. Maybe it's because I'm not talking too much throughout the week, and then this Saturday or Sunday, like I'm talking too much with the video and all those kind of things. So maybe that's why. That's it, guys. So we'll see in the other video. So please like, share and comment, and